Assalamu alaikum. We are live. We are live and direct. Live and direct in the building. In two different buildings, actually.
Oh, we tried to make it look like we're in the same building. Guys, come on.
Yeah. Use your imagination, people.
SubhanAllah. When are we ever going to be reunited? That's a real question.
So I think that the current events boys also had a similar question about finally doing their thing in person again. And I was like, hold on a second. No, like the idea of it for me is this idea of it being virtual always. I think that's just me though.
In general, I can't remember the last time I've actually gone and sat with somebody in a social setting.
Yeah.
Look at you, always thinking about work. I'm thinking about, other things.
I only think about work.
Don't worry. Business continues. This is how the business will be. No,
Oh,
Faisal,
what happened to you? What happened to you? Yeah, exactly. Don't worry, Mohammed. We're good. Like, this is going to be virtual. I don't know why you're so stressed. Wow.
What happened to what?
What's your webcam? Let's just speak about the elephant in the room. Your webcam is not the webcam that we're used to, or is it the same one?
Yes, this is the same one. It's just not on the screen because
we've just changed the angle.
Usually it's up here. Usually it's up here, but my screen is every time I put something on it, it falls over. It's balancing. So
you know what annoys me about my camera is that it goes dark and bright and dark and bright. And one would assume that that's because the ISO keeps changing. And so I manually set the ISO, but that doesn't look, now it's lighter, isn't it?
It reflects the
mood,
the nature of the conversation. The better the conversation, the brighter it gets. Look at us. The more intelligent this conversation becomes, the brighter your camera becomes.
That's how frustrating, because I'm not a camera guy. I don't know what it is. Like, I thought if you manually keep the ISO at 200 and I've got the aperture at 1.4, that means that it would stay like that. But
maybe you've got no light.
It's the other thing. The other thing
you're being drowned out behind you.
1-50 and 1-. I don't know what that means.
You're gonna have to ask the people in the comments, bro. I don't know.
Yeah, there might be like a camera specialist who's also a dad. If the two can combine.
Let's absolutely sidetrack this conversation. I got the vaccine the other day.
Really? First of all, Mohammed, do you mind shifting your camera slightly just so I can see more of your face? Because I want to see more than... right now I see 85% of your face. Oh, there we are. Now I see all of you. You got the vaccine. You got the vax. You're vaxxed up, baby.
Yeah.
You got vax to the max.
Hey, it knocked me out for like 2 days.
Really?
Yeah, man.
Do you know which one you got?
I got the AstraZeneca 3000.
Nice. The AZ.
Man, like
my nan got the AZ.
Oh, trust me. Did she actually?
She did. She got it the other day. Yeah. She got it 2 days ago.
How did she feel? Oh, it must have been the same day I got it.
I haven't checked up on her. Shouldn't say that publicly.
It's okay. Let's publicly advise Faisal so we all get the reward. 1,
Fine.
2,
in the comments, go.
3. Oh, Faisal, you should really check up on your gran, bro. Come on, everyone, get involved.
Very good point. Yeah, I should. I suppose along with it, because she has so many grandchildren, I assumed that somebody did that.
Oh yeah, of course.
Like my sister is very close to her, so I was like, I'm sure my sister definitely, if I asked about how the vax is treating her. So how was it for you, bro? Before we get into dad talk, tell me about the vac.
I was okay, and then is that I've got WhatsApp on my computer? That's strange. I was okay.
Share screen.
No, it's just memes, bro. WhatsApp's all memes for me. I was fine, actually. And then the next day I was like, I don't feel too good. But they said I won't feel too good. They said it's likely that I'll feel like I've got the flu. And then I just felt like I got run over, really. And spent most of yesterday and the day before, whatever, in bed. But here I am, ready to go 2 days later.
With your suit of armor, internal suit of armor. Your antibody, your body is producing antibodies at the speed of only Allah knows.
It's like those It's like those montages in like those Rocky films, bro. That's what my
Yeah,
antibodies are doing right now.
yeah. Your body has been shown the fingerprint of the coronavirus, and it's been
The
told,
secret
"Hey,
scroll.
you guys, this is what you need to fight against. See
The
me,
forbidden
take
jutsu.
a picture, and recognize.
Mm-hmm.
If
It's
I ever
your
come
enemy.
back, exactly. I haven't got that.
Oh
I'm
no!
I'm uh in many senses of the word naked right now.
Wow. Okay.
Metaphorically, of course.
Good thing this isn't audio only, because that would
Yeah.
be questionable.
No, metaphorically, of course. Uh, so that's happening. Okay. That's good. So you're vaxxed up, and obviously children can't take it. So if we do try and manage this conversation into the realm that it's supposed to be in of fatherhood,
Oh
we
yeah.
could link it by saying that your children are unable to get the vaccine because they're both under 18. Is that correct?
I have no idea, bro. This is
It's
no.
correct.
It's okay. I'll take your word for
Yeah.
it. Ah, that's it. As long as someone
This
online
this
said so.
this boom arm is not letting me like drink my coffee in with ease. I should probably not be
I,
drinking it
are
actually.
you aware that every time you knock your mic, it echoes all over the stream? Like I won't hear it, but
Really? Can you
I
hear
have
it?
had some people. No, I can't hear it, but people have told me that whenever Faisal smacks his mic, it like creates an echo effect on
Oh,
the
okay.
stream.
I'll try my best to stop.
I do listen to the reviews of this show quite
That's good.
intently. Someone
Yeah,
has
and
to.
clearly they're
Someone has to
incredibly
listen to the
negative, aren't
feedback.
they? Yeah.
I'm responsible for the outcome of the quality of this show, considering I have more kids than you. So it puts me at a higher rank. Okay,
That's true.
on the dad's Dunya scale,
You're the chief dad.
um,
CD.
something like that. Yes,
You're
there
the
are
CD
more
man.
in this team that of me and you. Yes.
Yeah, you're the CD. There was
Okay.
a
Thank
man,
you.
remember, like last week or the week before, who had many children, and one of them was like a 12-year-old who has a phone.
Oh yeah.
Advanced child. So there's
If
definitely
there
other
were,
CDs.
yeah, if there was a mod on the chat, he would be the mod.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure eventually we'll get enough viewers to create mods. Someone just
Yeah.
manage all of that stuff. There's so many people just trying to comment and
Oh,
get their message across to Daz Dunya. Let's create a mod. Now
yeah.
we'd
Let's
seek that man and back out. Where are
need
you?
some
Who are you?
moderation. Yeah. Come back, Mister Five Kids.
Yeah,
Please advise us because we don't know what we're doing. Every day is a
yeah,
new day.
that's true.
Which way does the nappy go around? Remember
Yeah.
that? Oh,
Oh man.
alhamdulillah.
So
What's new in the dad world, bro?
I'll tell you what's new in the dad world. The other day I popped out to have a COVID test.
Oh,
Alhamdulillah, I came back neg.
next.
But regardless to say, I popped out and to one of those mobile units, and got that done. And on the way back, anyway, this is a bad. No, I can't say that now because it just doesn't.
No,
None of
you
it
have to
adds up.
finish it. No,
No, I
no, go
can't.
on. Oh,
I can't. I
you
can't.
left me so suspenseful. You went out for a quick rubber dub up the nose and
No,
the
no, no.
throat.
I'll tell you something I wrote down for Dad's Dunya today, which
Go
was
on, Ed.
I went with Zachariah to Lidl, right?
Mm,
Obviously an essential shop,
okay.
and what had happened is I went to park in the parent and child bay. Now
Oh,
I'm gonna sound like such a like one of those parents. This is about to be a conversation that you normally hear parents go in, and when you're not a parent, you go, oh, like this is just if there were videos, which I'm sure there are, like meme videos of like stuff parents say, this would be in it, right? And I've
mm.
never said this before, but now that I'm a parent, I find myself saying those stereotypical things, and you can't get more stereotypical than what I'm about to say. So I go to the door and go to park in the parent child bay. Now what's happened is somebody has parked in the middle of two parent-child bays, right on the line, right? Now, the parent-child bays, especially in Lidl, are very large, wide bays, and somebody's taken. So really, you could probably fit 3 cars there, and somebody's parked on the line. I was quite frustrated. However, there was also a parking space next to them, so I wasn't that mad. I was still able to park with my child, of course, with me. And it's convenient to have those wide bays because I have a pram that I take out, a fairly large pram, and then take Zachariah out and put him in the pram and lock him in, and it takes time and all sorts. So having those wide bays is helpful, but also it's also helpful because it's close to the store, which means you're not like lugging a pram like all across the car park. But alas, I was able to find a bay, and so it wasn't that much of a deal. Although, yeah, the thought crossed my mind, oh, how inconsiderate, somebody's parked in the middle of the 2 bays. Anyway, I go ahead and do my shop now, and I come out. As I come out of my shop, the person who was parked on the middle of 2 bays was there, and this woman was loading her car up, and it was I want to say like in her late 50s woman, so not like a old grandma, but also not a young woman.
Yes.
A bit older than my mum, right?
Okay.
Showed no signs of needing a close bay to the shop, right?
Okay.
Anyway,
no
even
kids.
if she did, she would obviously maybe she'd have a disabled badge and park and disabled if she needed a close bay because of physical ability of walking being reduced more than the average. Now, I still saw this woman, and guess what? You guessed it. She had no kids with her.
Oh, there you go.
That is when I got really frustrated, because I thought, not only, lady, have you parked in the middle of 2 parent-child bays, but you have 0 children with you, no car seats from what I could tell, and she just decided to park on the line of 2 bays, and a fully functioning woman who took up 2 parent bays. I was so frustrated, bro. I was like, I feel the pain of other parents who
a fully functioning woman.
I feel the pain of other parents who could have parked. 2 other parents with maybe a maximum of 7 children, if they have a big car, could have parked there. There's potentially 14 children missing out on the ease of being able to unload themselves and their luggage and to go into Lidl because of one woman. 1 woman versus 14 children and 2 parents. We're talking a potential 18 people here being damaged by this woman's need to park in the middle of a bay without any children. And I was so frustrated. And so did I speak to her? Did I say, excuse me, madam, respectfully, I feel the pain of other parents, and by you parking here, you've made it difficult for but maximum of 18 people, minimum of 3, to both access the store with ease, to protect their child, because it's safer that a child who could run around the car park and stuff is as close to the store, has wider bays, get the buggies out, all this kind of stuff. You stop that, and if you could just not do it again, if that's okay. Yes. Did I do that? No, I didn't. Instead, I stared at her, and I stared mean for a very long time. I just screw-faced. I watched her go into her car, and then I just stared. But I didn't say anything because I'm a coward. But I stared.
And then
aggressively.
You lowered his gaze. You lowered your gaze afterwards.
Well, I didn't say I stared, directly at her. But my
I stared at her vehicle. I stared at her car. I stared,
bro, in that direction angrily. And it was very frustrating. And so after that, I rang the only person who I know would feel my pain, and that is somebody in my family who was the first in our generation to have children. Of course, I called my older sister, mother of 2 beautiful sons, who is for all sense and purposes, a stereotypical mother, loving mother,
Mhm.
who would share my pain. I rang her and I said, "Listen, this is the experience I just had," and she said, "Oh, that is so annoying." She said,
Oh,
I never park in child bays unless I have a child with me, um, and and when I see people do that, it frustrates me. And we just shared that anger together, and it was so
yeah.
nice to share anger and pain, and that was an experience I had. And my question to you, Mohammed, is: have you ever had an experience like that? But before you answer, I just want to say a massive thank you to Hanan M for the super chat of £5 and saying thumbs up for good fathers. Grew up in a single mother household. When my dad divorced my mum, it's like he also divorced his kids. Haven't seen him in 2 years. It went from like I don't know. I'm not. I didn't know where it was going. I should have read it before.
Oh,
But
yeah.
Hanan, thank you so much. Do you know why
Yeah.
I thought I know a Hanan M. My
Yeah.
friend is called Hanan M, and I just spoke to Hanan M just now. I rang him, and then so I thought maybe that's Hanan M, my friend, but he is not growing up in a single parent household. So that's why when I was reading, I was expecting it to be Hanan M, who I
Yeah.
know, and realized that
Okay.
it's actually not.
Okay.
And
You can't. We're not saving this. This is too far gone now. We're gonna
I
have
just
to
want to
deal
say,
with
I just want to say
it.
thank you to Hanan M for supporting the stream. Mohammed,
Alhamdulillah.
uh, have you experienced my Bay issue?
Let's have a look. There are not that many things that are allocated to kids, or like, I'm trying to think of something that is like, oh, this is specifically for parents to benefit from, when it comes to kids and stuff. Don't use public transport, so I don't really get like, those, in a bus it has like an allocated place for push chairs. Don't really have that too much. If anything, I've been the cause of issues. Have you ever flown with your child before?
No,
Oh, bro,
dreading
that's
it.
going to be an experience. We've done that
I
a few
am.
times. That was quite difficult. I mean, once we were very fortunate, and it was pretty much asleep for the whole journey. But just keeping them in that seat for like 2 or 3 hours is very difficult. You always get every flight has that kid, that's just kicking off, screaming. Sometimes they're behind you, sometimes they're kicking the back of your head. Um,
I've experienced
well,
that.
when you have one, it's just you feel guilty for the whole flight, bro.
Oh, I
Absolute
can
guilt.
imagine.
Yeah, yeah. There's not much you can do. You just have to deal with it. Accept that this is who you are now. This is who you've become. The source of everybody's pain.
You just want. I bet you wanted to just like hide into your jumper.
Yeah, just pretend I'm asleep for the whole thing, and then have a bit of a
Oh.
domestic incident between your missus. Who's going to have him? Who's going to take responsibility? Who wants to be the
Mm.
person to blame for this whole entire journey?
Mm.
But you know what? Like I said, sometimes you get very fortunate. Sometimes they're just very well behaved, but sometimes not so much.
You
Can't,
know.
can't think of any other ones though.
So you haven't gone through the debate. Have you ever? So I actually in the space of a few days, in the space of like 48 hours, experienced what I experienced twice. But I have to say that I was biased. Um,
Mm,
the first time, and I'm not happy about that because a Muslim is just, uh, and I wasn't. I didn't feel the same kind of emotions. Actually, I did. Well, so basically, I experienced this the day before, and this time it was a Muslim couple,
hmm
and they had done the same thing. They were parked with their minivan without children, and they did a big shop, and they parked in their child and in the child bay. And what I think with that, when I see that, is less what I experienced the first time. I'm more like, oh man, like as Muslims, like our character is meant to be so, you know, like in a way where people be like, see you and like, oh man, that's like you don't want anyone to have an excuse to like not like Muslims. You know what I
Yeah, I
mean?
get you. Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So
We shut up and put up too much sometimes, though, bro.
mm,
As long as you're a law-abiding citizen, then you can have a go at other people for not abiding by the law.
yeah, I guess I don't want to sit on my high horse with obviously these things.
Have
So
you ever parked in a child bay before having children?
I don't think so because I was thinking about that. I don't think it's something I would do.
I'm trying to think if I have. I can't think I've ever even like if there's one there, then I'll park in it. But most of the time, we just park in normal bays because there isn't any child bays where we go to shop. So this is
There's child bays everywhere, bro.
well, not down here. Okay, it's hard to
I used
find
to
things.
drive. I used to drive to shops looking at the child bays all empty, thinking one day I'll be able to park in you,
Oh,
inshallah.
you're so cute. I like
Yeah.
Bellic. Oh, Papa
This darkness
face.
issue is frustrating me, but I figured out what it is, but I don't want to mess with it on stream. I figured out that there's this function called that's like like it's on 1/50 right now, which is bright. And then it
Okay.
goes all the way to 1/200, which makes it really dark. And I don't know what that is. But I'm going to figure that out by the next stream, inshallah. I
Okay.
could mess with it now, but there's a chance that it would get in the way. It would get in the way. So, did you fly with your children out of necessity, or was it like a holiday? Like, did you choose to
So
do it?
I haven't flown with both of them yet. It was just with Suleiman because Ilyas has been locked down. I need to get him a passport at some point. But yeah, Suleiman he's flown a few times now. Yeah, the holiday really. Holiday. I mean, when I say holiday, our holidays consist of the countries that we come from. So we either go to Tunisia or Algeria or Morocco. Because that's just what my family's made up of. So yeah, it's kind of visiting family and stuff like that. So yeah, I was trying to remember. You know, I have this thing of blocking out bad memories. So if it did go badly, I just can't remember it in detail because I erase it as soon as it's done. Just delete that. But I remember the good times of it. There was once where my wife and my father-in-law flew without me because I had a bit of a mishap at the airport, and they had to carry on their holiday without me. That was nice, and they took Suleiman with them. Apparently, he was very well on that trip, very well behaved and stuff with his grandfather. But then I eventually joined them and then flew back with them, and yeah, that one was a bit of a difficult time.
Have you ever had like a like memorable experience with like having to nappy change while you're out, or are you good at avoiding that? Because I would say I'm quite good at avoiding that.
No, not necessarily. Although now that he's obviously all grown up and he doesn't wear nappies anymore, now it's kind of like, oh, we need to always be conscious where the nearest toilet is all the time. And the first time we really had experience of that was a few weeks ago when we were at the park, and I realized that he needed to use the toilet because he was hiding on the top of like this climbing frame thing. He was just like hiding. They do that, bro. They just hide. They don't want to tell you. They'd rather hide and like try and hold it in. So this is a very flattering topic, isn't it? But I realized that on the other side of the park there was a public toilet, but it's like, oh, you don't want to take your child to like a skanky public toilet, but at the same time, you've got no other option. Like you kind of have to. So we picked him up, all going down there, and didn't realize there was this other man who was also like heading towards the public toilet at the same time. And then he got near the toilet, but then he sat down on the bench. And then I went, took Suleiman in, and it's some proper skanky toilet. And I'm trying to make sure it's all hygienic and all this other stuff. But you know, we've got no alternative. Anyway, it wasn't until I came out that my wife was like, "Do you know that man actually overheard us talking about taking him to the toilet?" And he waited until Suleiman was done, so that he could go in and use the toilet. I was like, "MashaAllah, may Allah guide that man to Islam, bro," because that was really thoughtful, bro. You know what I mean? Really thoughtful. But
I had a very similar pleasant toilet experience this week, actually.
Go on.
Which also involved an old man. So
Okay.
I went for another essential. I went for another separate essential shop.
Okay.
With this time with the whole family, and yeah,
just everyone took a minibus.
Well, we have a very small family. This is me, my wife, and my child. But we had to go. Yeah, that is my whole family. That's my whole household.
Okay.
Anyway, long story short is I needed to go to the washroom, akramakumullah, and it was grim, man. Like, it wasn't good, but I was really bursting, man. And so I went, and as I came out, there was a man standing there who had also like opted to. He obviously clearly needed the bathroom as well, and he was very polite. He stood by the door, and someone Someone goes, we're eating here. Sorry, this isn't that grim. I'll try and keep it. The end of the point. The point is that it was because it's one person at a time because of COVID restrictions, and so
Yeah.
he waited by like the main door, and I was like. I can't remember what I said. People are giving us dislikes because we're talking about toilets. I need to hurry up.
Hey,
The end point is that he held the door. He held the door open for me.
okay, bro, you shouldn't be eating now. You
Let's
should be
let's move
taking
on.
notes. This is Dad's Dunya. We're
That's
trying
true.
to teach you things, bro. This is important, right? This is like a lesson. You have to study this very,
Yeah,
very intently. You don't go and eat in a flipping lecture. Come on, man. This is
yeah, that's
important,
true.
invaluable advice.
Let's change the topic because our dislikes and likes are becoming very close to each other. Can we get
Oh,
some
don't
like?
look at that
Can we
stuff,
get?
bro.
Can we get some likes,
You know
please,
what?
people?
I like this. What other like wild encounter? Do you know what? I'll tell you about wild encounter of just kids doing random stuff outdoors. I remember once we were walking with Suleiman in the park. I'm sure it was the park. And there was just this other kid walking with his mum. It might have been the park, it might have been a shopping centre. And he's just walking with his mum, and Suleiman just walks up to this kid and just punches him in the stomach for no reason, just out of the blue.
Who
Completely out of
does?
the blue. My son, Suleiman.
Bro,
Just punches the kid.
we've got some like crazy thing happening right now on the stream. It's like being
Oh, really?
taken over. Yeah, it's like being taken over by like some like um by like all these like anti-Muslim like things. Oh my gosh.
Oh, wow.
Can you see it?
We're going to war. Let's have a look. I don't really have the chat open. I only just look at what you've sent in.
I don't know. We must have got like promoted on some crazy thing. It's going absolutely insane. Where's that? Can you see that?
Oh, it looks very busy.
Yeah, it's just gone insane. I don't know I don't know how that's all taken place.
It's all views, baby.
Yeah, well, the good thing is that I thought that the dislikes were coming from the talk that we were having, so that's very positive. I don't know how
Alhamdulillah.
something's happened in that like we've been obviously been like promoted by the algorithm to like Trump supporters.
It's okay. Hey, Trump is a good dad. I see him with his kids on the TV all the time.
Let's
Don't you
not
think
talk about
so?
that. Let's not
Oh,
let's not talk about that. Let's move back to regular fatherhood topics.
oh, okay. Deep.
Oh man, that's crazy. Okay, anyway, let's get back to our let's get back to our normal fatherhood topics because this is like
You're
insane right
easily
now.
distracted, bro. Just
I am easily distracted, especially when like running the stream at the same time. So let's go all the back. How's your week been? As
Alhamdulillah.
a dad or two.
Alhamdulillah. Akhi. Alhamdulillah. Spent most of the week at work, and then obviously had my jab, and then now I'm back at home on my days off, and it's been good. Alhamdulillah. So the man's gone back to nursery now, and he's absolutely loving it. He said to me on his first day, he said, "I had an incredible day." That's a big word for him.
Oh, is that what he said?
Oh yeah, big word, incredible. Add that to the sticker list. Give him a sticker for using big words. Why not? But yeah, alhamdulillah, he's going back in tomorrow. He goes Mondays and Fridays, 2 days a week. It's really good, man. It's good for his development. It's good to get out
Yeah,
there.
because you were battling that at first, weren't you? Like this idea of like whether you should send him back to school or not. Send him
No,
to
definitely.
nursery, sorry, or not.
Definitely, but yeah, definitely needed it. Definitely needed it. You know, this lockdown's been keeping us sort of, cooped up for way too long, and there's only so much you can do with kids. So to give them an opportunity to sort of get out there and engage with other children, and even now, like despite the fact that he hasn't really developed any super close relationships with people, he just considers all those kids as his friends. So he says, "Oh, I'm going to go to my friends. I'm going to go to my friends." So it's really good for him, actually, to get that sort of social experience, learn to share, learn to be
Are you not
friendly.
worried that he's gonna come back with like like most people's concern right now with sending people to school and stuff is the concern of coming back with, like, I don't know, germs or whatever.
Well, I mean, the risk, I think for kids anyway, I think the risk is quite low from what I've seen. And even if they were to catch anything, I think it's quite low. So you just have to take your precautions. But it's been so long, Akhi, like you have to sort of start weighing at what point is it going to really be detrimental to his development long term, I don't want him missing out on certain things that he's going to miss out on school. He could be really far behind when it comes to school and stuff, just because he hasn't picked up on the basics of, like, even, reading and writing and numbers, stuff like that. So, and 2 days a week, inshallah, isn't too bad, I hope. He's not going every single day. And in addition, I'm sure, and we've been, we've been reassured by the staff that they're, doing their best and limiting the numbers of people that do attend, and cleaning everything again and again. And it's the best you can do, Obviously, if he started showing symptoms, or if any other kids show symptoms, then they kind of keep them at home and stuff. But this is the best we can do. You just have to have a balance, inshallah.
Yeah, even with, like, you're seeing, like, professional sports are still allowed, aren't they? And then with the professional sports, like, there's sometimes you'll see a club like I know Aston Villa and Crawley recently had, like, an outbreak of COVID in their teams, and they had to, like, just suspend their teams or, like, play their youth teams and stuff like that. So I think people have obviously got if they are opening things up, like, for example, nurseries, they've got like plans or like backup plans for, like, if any of those things happen, like almost like prerequisites, right? So they obviously must know to an extent what they're doing. And I think one advantage of, like, being a year into this is that you get kind of a better idea of how everything's working. Like, I suppose, like, in terms of just, like, what should be done and how to manage if somebody gets symptoms, like, instantly, like, don't take it as something that's not serious, instantly address it and stuff like that. So that's one, like, advantage, but many disadvantages generally with this whole thing.
Of course. Alhamdulillah.
It's a shame that we had all of those. It's a shame that we had all of those spams, and all they left us with was a load of dislikes and no super chat to at least support us.
Don't worry, bro. Don't worry. But yeah, time flies quickly, bro. I mean, we didn't realize. Well, I didn't realize. I think my wife knew, but Ilyas is 1 year old today, to the date.
Really?
Yeah, he was born 31st January last year. So maybe around this time, maybe in like 30 minutes, he'd be born. Which is crazy. I didn't think,
Oh, really? Was he born really late?
Born at 8 o'clock-ish, yeah. It was really, it's gone really quickly, I was looking at him today and just thinking about his development, so he's at that stage where he can he stands himself up by holding on stuff. And we're just sort of thinking about, is he going to take a step? Is he not, sort of thing, and trying to entice him to do, to take those sort of steps and stuff. But yeah, it's really quite phenomenal, akhi. Alhamdulillah. And I was just looking through some old photos of him, and there's been times where he was at hospital. There's just times where he's poorly. There's just times where they're so fragile and stuff. And then before you know it, they're like, they've got their own personality, it kind of goes back to what we were saying last episode about how the changes happen so subtly that we don't actually realize how quickly they've grown and how far they've grown. Isn't until you start looking back at these photos and stuff that you realize, oh wow, subhanAllah, he's a fighter, bro. He's a survivor. He's gone through all these sort of different changes and developments that are quite fascinating, really.
My brother had since our last chat, he had a baby boy. His baby boy was born. So I'm trying to, like, manage everything at the same time. Yeah, Long Barak. And do you know what I forgot, bro? I forgot that I forgot what a newborn is like in terms of the like size and stuff, because they were sending pictures and like they and obviously when the pictures are like quite like zoomed in, but what you do realize though is that, like, the size of a newborn baby, because you, like you said, you got Ilyas and he's 1, and now it's such a gradual change. You forget how small they once were. They are so small, bro. Like when they're born, they're so small. Their hair is so delicate and everything, man. So it's just it was very refreshing to see remind yourselves, oh look, like my son was like that before, and look at how much they've grown and stuff, and how much they grow within the first year. I heard something like they grow the most in the first year, a child, which obviously makes a lot of sense.
Definitely. Especially look at how different they look, especially between being born and 1 year old. The difference is just you wouldn't know that it's the same child. You wouldn't know at all. We were looking at pictures of when he was just born, and he looked, completely different. And obviously he's newborn, but all the features are just not there. But now, like if you look at a picture of yourself when you were 1 year old. Oh no, I'm not doing that. Sorry, my computer just wants me to restart. Let's do restart tonight.
Yeah, imagine if your computer goes, but now it's tonight.
Active hours. Would you like to adjust your active hours? Yes.
In the meantime, let me address the chat. I think we got a lot of people saying mods and stuff. Yeah, so what we'll do is we probably do need to set some mods, because I can't manage a chat at the same time. You guys are right. So I don't know how to select a mod. How do we trust somebody to be a mod? We'll figure it out, but we will try and get some mods in time, I suppose, for the next episode. Maybe you can email us, hello@freshlygrounded, if you're interested in being a FG mod.
You have to have at least 4 kids to... The guy with the kids, bro. I told you from the start.
Guy with the kids. We need that guy back. Yeah, where is he?
He's going to know how to manage people.
Yeah. Okay, so... I'm going to reduce that. Well, we got a question. What age is the hardest to go through with a child? I think that teens will probably be the hardest. Okay, so because you and I are rookies,
absolutely,
I'm more so than you. Because we've only been in fatherhood for a very short amount of time.
Bro, listen, I don't do anything, bro. It's all my wife.
Okay? Yeah, that's true. Same.
Honest truth. I just go out there.
Pretend.
I work, come home. Where's dinner? Oh, there it is. Thank you, darling. Oh, how the kids
after the streets.
Yeah.
You're looking after the streets, bro. Don't devalue yourself. But listen, let's just pretend for a second, yeah? Let's pretend we're grown men who are looking after kids, right? Our kids, because that sounds good. Our children. We're parents. We're parents. We are we are parents.
Mm-hmm.
So, as I was saying, in your fatherhood journey so far, what's been the most difficult age? We're gonna have to talk in months here, because we haven't even passed many years. Well, you've passed more years than me, but what's been the most tough? Let's talk about Suleiman, because Suleiman's a bit older, so you can talk in years there. Because you've obviously been through the terrible twos. How bad is that?
Yeah, twos are hardest, I think.
Really?
Definitely. Yeah, twos are the hardest. Because they still don't understand what you're telling them, but they're very mobile and very active. So there's a capacity to break things, capacity to hurt themselves, to fiddle with things that you can't. So you always have to monitor them. It's like helicopter parenting. You can't just leave them in a room and let them sort of do whatever. And they can... Generally, I think, they can walk around sort of. So they're able to access stuff. So now even Ilyas is 1 year old. He's got this bookshelf that he's fascinated with. And at the moment, he gets to the second shelf where all the books are, and he'll just pull those books down on the floor, right? And we're kind of like, oh, haha, that's funny. But like, if he's a bit taller and he starts really messing with that bookshelf, he could just tip it over on himself, and that's like 2 years oldish. And the same with other stuff. Although Suleiman's, 3.5, or he'll be 4 soon, inshallah. And you can tell him, don't touch the TV, right? And he won't touch it. But when he was 2 years old, I'm pretty sure he smashed my TV last time. So this is like another one I bought. But the one we had before, he completely just pulled it and smashed it, because he's not going to get those instructions. So yeah, I think definitely twos is difficult when it comes to safety and stuff. But then again, you could argue that, teenagehood is quite difficult, because there's a lot of naivety and a lot of like thinking that they know the world. They've lived on Earth long enough to defend themselves. And I see it at work all the time, actually. Like, I just think some of the kids that we deal with, I'm like, subhanAllah, how did I ever think that I knew what I was doing at these kids' age, you know, because they're completely clueless to the dangers around them. I suppose they just think that they can handle themselves, and they don't know what true evil is, really. They don't think it really exists. They're just very naive to what people can do and how people may take advantage of them and stuff like this, you know. There's some absolute dangers out there that we just don't think exists, but it really does, you know. And it's difficult, I think, to especially when you're fighting against, you know, not just the child and what they want, but also the child's friends and the child's social circle and what they're telling them is cool and what they're telling them is, you know, the thing to do, sort of thing. Wow, I sound like an absolute dad right now, but it's the truth. It's the truth, you know.
Yeah, your CD levels. The thing that makes me think of is this fact that is also, if we're talking about teenagers and stuff, and we're not any better than this ourselves. Well, I know I'm not, but it's this idea of, as you get older, not appreciating your parents, right? And it reminds me of the fact that Allah tells us that mankind is created forgetful. You know, we know that we're created ungrateful in many situations, and you know, there's many parts of us that are natural, like our fitra, you know, there's very natural elements that are just normal for us, and one of those things is forgetfulness. And it's sad, isn't it, because we do forget how much our parents have done for us, and therefore, like, for example, as a teenager and even as a young adult, you start thinking that you know more than them. But it's sad because we shouldn't ever be like this. There should never be an excuse to behave in that way. But I almost put it down to like our quote unquote like forgetfulness of who they are, what they've done for us. And as a parent, you do slightly see the other side of that. Like as a now parent, as like a new parent, you do see the other side of that. You're like, wow, like now I'm the parent. I would never like to be in a situation where my child belittles me. But then I'm sure that we do that to our children, our parents, even if we don't do it in such a rude way of like actively coming across that we're belittling them, but perhaps just in our actions we do it. And that's a scary thought, isn't it? Like the fact that you're like belittling your parents and forgetting what they've done for you, and all of that kind of stuff. It's a weird and scary thought to go through. And I suppose coming full circle, it comes back down to this idea that the reward for being obedient to your parents is so high that you have to sometimes think, like, if the reward for something is so great, is it going to be easy to attain? You know, sometimes it might be really difficult to attain that because the reward is so great. You know, the reward of obeying your parents, so high, such an amazing, such a big reward. It's often stated that, you know, like the easiest or the fastest or whatever people say gate to Jannah is the obedience of your parents. But then if something's so attainable or so with such a high reward, there's gonna be times where you lose patience with your parents or something your parents does frustrates you, but you almost got to keep reminding yourself of that reward. But it's hard, man. When you're going through things, it's difficult to remind yourself of that, isn't it?
I mean, you start really appreciating it now. You know, you might even turn to your parents now and be like, oh, I sort of get it. I kind of get it, not the whole thing because you haven't gone through the whole journey yet, but you get aspects of it really deeply. I mean, even the fact of the reward, like, I'll give you a story. My wife might not like me telling you this story, but it is what it is. Recently, our son has gone into our bed, right? And unfortunately, he had an accident, right? He wet the bed, okay? Right? But it's our bed, bro, okay? It's me and my wife's bed. So took him back, got him changed, and then we had to sleep on the sofa because it was just not the right time in the morning, 3 in the morning or whatever. And then I remember turning to my wife and I was saying, SubhanAllah, look, this is the reward of the parents. Like, this is why there's a reward for kids to obey their parents. This is why they should, you know, to cherish their parents because of the sacrifice they make. We had an awful sleep on that couch because the couch isn't made for sleeping. But like little things like that, I know it's a really minor thing, but the sacrifices that parents will make for their kids that we just don't think about. It's kind of what we were talking about last episode, how like you would, if your son was looking at you hungry and you were eating something, you wouldn't even think twice. You would just give that straight to your son, you know, things like that. You would rather go without than to watch your child suffer or watch your child be without, sort of thing. Obviously not in a spoiling way, but definitely in terms of needs and necessities and just a bit of barakah upon them. So yeah, definitely, akhi. And even that, the way that you look at your child and you have this love that you just can't explain, and you never had it before. You never had it before they were born. You just couldn't figure it out, and now you look at them, and then that clicks for you. And you're like, Subhanallah, this is how my parents must have felt when they looked at me.
Yeah.
Like that's a crazy feeling when you realize that. When you come to that realization, it's crazy.
When I first became a dad, when people asked me about what the feeling is, I explained it like you just said. I said, it feels like unlocking a new type of love you didn't realize existed. It's a whole new type of love, isn't it?
Bro, how do you feel when he was born?
Instantly, I felt like protective. That was the first emotion.
Really?
Yeah.
I could not stop crying, bro. It was mad. I
I
called
didn't
up
have a
like,
chance. I froze.
really?
Because of how crazy his birth was. Like, there was
Oh
issues with
yeah,
his heartbeat and stuff.
yeah,
So because of that, I didn't get a
yeah,
chance. I predicted that I would cry. That was like, I kept thinking, I was like prepared for like a massive cry. I didn't.
yeah,
I didn't cry until like, I don't know, a day or two later, because I went straight into that protective mode. Like, oh my gosh, what's happened
yeah,
to his heart? Like, I was just like worried
yeah,
and
yeah. You
protective,
weren't
and
sure.
yeah,
Yeah. La, inshallah khair, bro. Inshallah khair. Alhamdulillah, he's all healthy now.
alhamdulillah.
But
Yeah.
definitely, bro. Yeah,
So you
it's a
cried?
phenomenal feeling. Oh yeah, and I didn't really. It wasn't like something I was expecting to do. And it was definitely only because it was my first child. Unfortunately, I didn't cry as much. I don't even remember crying when Ilyas was born. But I think it was just about the fact that it was, having a child as opposed to specifically Suleiman. Yeah, man. I remember just calling up my gran. I think it must have been my gran, the first person I called up. Um, yeah, man. And over in Morocco, and I was just like, yeah, it's a different person, bro. There was a different person I was back then. Just completely raw emotion. But yeah, it changes you. It absolutely changes you. Just completely shifts everything about you, everything you thought you knew about yourself. All your sort of goals, all your sort of plans, everything is just about your kids now. It's not, at least it should be, I think. But yeah, definitely put your kids first and foremost in your mind. Everything you do, you have a reason. You can visualize what you do things when you're going through hardship. You can visualize what you're doing it for. Yeah, love it, bro. Love every second of it.
Yeah, I was gonna mention something, and it was it was that, before then, if I'm being honest with myself, most of the time when you feel happy because the whatever has made you feel happy has affected you in some way positively.
Mm.
And it's hard to say that that's not the case. Like, we should love, and a high level of man is to love for Allah's sake alone. So if you see something great happening, you're happy regardless of whether it's affected you positively or not. But most of the time, we do get happy because something's happened that benefits us. So if a direct one is like, for example, getting a pay rise, right? Like, you're happy because it's going to increase your state, your life, your way of life, right? But even if something great happens to somebody else, you often can get happy because it might benefit you in some way. Like, let's say a family member of yours has done something great, maybe it'll look good on you, whatever. The point is that often we feel happy because there's some effect on us, right? Something ricochets back to us. However, when you have a child, I feel like it's the purest form of feeling happy because of only purely because of that person, like for that person. Like you said, like the feeding thing. I'm finding it hard to articulate myself here clearly, but that like that feeding thing, like, your food
Yeah,
is one of those very rare things that's like you're feeding a desire, and it's very hard to like let go of that desire and give it to somebody else, but in an
yeah,
instant you give it to your child,
yeah,
don't you?
yeah. Definitely. It's weird, and it's weird. Like, before having kids, it's weird trying to quantify or explain that feeling, And I did mention it, I think, last time, where we said, like, my mum used to do that all the time. She always used to give me whatever she was eating or the last bit of whatever she had, and I just couldn't figure that out. I remember thinking, growing up with my mum, like, doing, especially when I was before my sisters were born, it was just me and my mum and my dad. I just thought, why do these guys? I remember thinking as a little kid, like, why do these guys always sort of do everything for me? Couldn't figure it out. Didn't make sense to me, because I didn't have it in me to do anything for anyone else, especially considering at the time I didn't have siblings and stuff. It just I couldn't figure it out. Couldn't figure out why, like, why they would put so much energy into like feeding me and changing me and taking me out and buying me things and blah blah blah. I never, my parents especially, I didn't see them as the type of people that would buy themselves things. I can't remember seeing my mum or my dad like buying stuff for themselves or all that kind of thing. It was always like I was the center of attention. But now you get it. Now you absolutely get it. You see, you've got your own kids and you're just like, oh right, this is it. This is why. It's because of this burning feeling inside of just trying to, always keep your children happy or make sure they don't go without. Or it's definitely some innate sort of thing within us.
It'll be lovely to have somebody on and talk to us about stories, because I love hearing stories, but stories from an Islamic perspective of parenting, and I'm going to give you one in a second, but I'm going to not do justice to it. But before I do, I just want to say a massive thank you to Sandstorm Z for supporting our stream with a super chat of £9.99. And Sandstorm says, may Allah put barakah into this podcast and may He reward you immensely for all your efforts. I mean, this podcast is a beautiful initiative and something our ummah needs more of. Barakallahu feekum. Jazakallahu khairan to Sandstorm Z. I appreciate that. Thank you. We appreciate that. Thank you for supporting the stream. So I heard a story from a teacher, I believe it was Ustad Yahya, but I might be wrong, who was talking to me about parenthood, and he was telling me, and it's a shame that I can't remember the person or whatever, but we'll put it down to like a pious individual, perhaps a member, perhaps someone from the Salaf, or maybe even a Sahabi. I can't quite remember, right? But the story is that this individual, he would when he would eat with his mother, if his mother were even to look at a piece of food on that plate, he would refuse to eat that piece of food. That's the kind of love they had for their parents. And that kind of stuff puts me to shame, like just by looking at it, he would refuse to eat that piece of food.
There's not that many that I can think of though, like sort of stories that really leave that much impact on me, because I've always tried to think in terms of really, because I always tried to think of loads for like this sort of role model, sort of trying to put like a way I parent my kids, like trying to think of like a blueprint that I can always, I think it's easy for people to sell this, follow the Salaf, follow the prophets and things like that, but I think it's difficult.
Someone said it was Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, so maybe that's who it was.
Oh, okay. There we go. That's why we have the chat. Like Barak. What's the best sort of? Let's go to you, Faisal. What's the best example of a father that you've seen? But you don't have to say who they are. You could just describe them. Describe what you sort of thought was powerful about their actions, or what kind of left that imprint in you.
Well, there's many examples I could give. I could give an example of my father, who's had some amazing things that he's done that I can now reflect on. Or I can... Let me try and think of something that I've heard of that I don't know the person. One thing that immediately comes to mind is something I heard, and it was of a... it was like a really famous motivational speech that anybody could find online. It's not a Muslim. It's just a like one of those, like those graduation speeches that are like really motivational, something like that.
Yeah.
And this guy, he said that his dad would wake up. I've mentioned this before. He said his dad would wake up at like 5 a.m. every day. But he wasn't due to wake up. He didn't need to wake up till like 7 because of work or whatever, something like that. And he said that the mum asked the dad, why do you wake up so early every day? And the dad said, in case one of my boys are awake and I want them to see their dad in the act of greatness. Just this idea of waking up early, and preparing for the day, not being a lazy person, not being someone who wakes up just before work and rushing. Someone who's like, and I think he said his dad was like a cab driver or something. I can't quite remember. The talk is definitely something that a lot of people would have heard already before. It's a really, really famous one. But really, really powerful. I thought that's how I want to be, man. I want Zachariah to catch me in the act of greatness rather than me just trying to teach him things. That means I have to try and be great.
Leading by example. I understand. I can respect that. It's
That means I
difficult
have
though,
to
in
genuinely and sincerely try and be great when he's not looking.
yeah, so that even because there's a lot of subtle and subconscious things that we do all the time that we're not actively teaching them that they just pick up
Mm.
on and they'll just copy. Um, yeah, that kind of sucks, man. Makes you really have to think about how you are and how you
Yeah.
act. It's easy because it's easy to get lost in that because you're just thinking about what you actively do to teach your kid. You know, what you actively tell them. You know, do as I say, not don't do as I do, sort of thing. But yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough. I wonder how many things like my kids have picked up on me now. Well, at least Suleiman has picked up on me that it's probably not very good. You know. Oh,
Zachariah, he doesn't do it anymore, alhamdulillah, but he picked up on something from me when maybe when he was like 11, 12 months, and he was doing this for about 2 months straight, right? And it was after I drink. I didn't realize, but after I drink, I go, like, it's a really bad habit. Apparently, that's what I do, right? Like, I'm
okay.
drinking coffee, I'm like, and I didn't realize that I did it. And then
Okay.
what happened is he got in this mad habit of doing two things. When he drunk, he would drink and he'd go, and it became more and more extreme as the weeks went on. It started becoming, at one time he did something like he drunk and he went, like really like really aggressive. I was like, oh my gosh, he's every time he drunk he'd do it. But not only did he do that, bro, is anytime somebody else drunk he would do it. So like Kareem came to my house one time and Kareem he was holding Zachariah and he drank some water and Zachariah looked at me and went, and I was like, oh, and Queen was like, what's that? And I was like, oh, he does it every time someone takes a sip of water or something. And it was so funny, but alhamdulillah, in recent weeks, he stopped doing it. And I think maybe I've stopped doing it as well. But yeah, it's so funny, bro. And you know the Salah thing? I was always thinking, like, I've seen my nephews and stuff, like, copy their parents pray. And I was thinking, when does that happen for me, right? When is he going to start copying me? And I do try and pray around him. And one of the blessings of right now, the limitations and restrictions is that you are praying more around your children. You know, one of the sad things is that your child doesn't get to connect with the masjid early, because I would like that. But the advantage is that he gets to see me pray a lot more, and he gets to see his mum pray a lot more and stuff like that. So I thought to myself, when is that age? And I'm sure, I know Suleiman already prays because I've seen on your Instagram story, he's 3.5 years old, and you encourage him to pray. And Ilyas, I'm imagining he's too young because he's even younger than Zachariah. So I was thinking to myself, when will Zachariah start to, like, you know, just follow my actions and stuff? And so now what he started, because he's definitely not at the point where he's like understanding and then instantly praying and stuff like that. However, I've seen him do two things, and he doesn't do them regularly, so I won't say, oh, every time I pray he does this, but I've seen him do two things I've clocked onto. One is that when I do the iqamah and I'm standing there, every now and again he'll come and stand next to me. Like, I'm standing there and I'm obviously standing in a position which is weird. Like, I don't normally just stand straight, like staring at the floor, right? And so he stands next to me for a few seconds. That's one thing I've noticed. Another thing I've noticed is that when I go into sujood, he's only done this about twice, but when I go into sujood, he won't necessarily go into sujood, but he'll go to his knees. So I'm happy about that. Like, he's obviously clicking onto things, because before, what he would do is when I put my head down in sujood, he would come to the front and grab my head and try and lift it up. Almost confused, like, what are you doing? Lift your head. Yeah. So now he kind of on a rare occasion, but he also doesn't like me praying all the time. Like, sometimes when I'm praying, I think he knows that this means that Dad's locked out for a few minutes. Because he's tried to, like, bring me things. Like, he likes opening lids, so he'll bring me something that has a lid that needs opening, and I'm not responding, and then he'll cry. So I think he also started to realize, oh, Dad's locked in now for a few minutes I can't talk to him or say anything or get his attention, and sometimes he cries. So I guess that all means that he's starting to understand Salah a bit, would you say?
Yeah, definitely, bro. I mean, you know, one thing I advise, and I'm sure you probably do already, but to always try and pray in congregation at home as well, if you can, like, especially now considering it's lockdown and stuff. So you and your wife, and because that way every single person in that house is now, okay, that's it. He's got no one to go to. You can't go to your wife. You can't go to yourself. And then he's got no choice but to sort of join in. The only concern, obviously, sometimes is that, oh, what is he going to do if we're both praying? But we still try all the time to do that. yeah, he'll definitely start picking up. But you'll have to, a lot of things going to have to sort of, like, you're going to have to stop praying all the time with thobes, because the moment that you're wearing like a t-shirt and some jeans, they're going to start climbing on your back, getting your t-shirt up, all of that sort of stuff. Oh, it happens, bro. Yeah, it happens. I have to restart a few prayers sometimes because of that. What else? What else? Yeah, I mean, it's all about how you sort of, like, my wife's really good. Actually, she will try and make aspects of the Deen really fun and stuff. Like, even today, I've noticed, like, you ever had like a toilet roll lid, toilet, the cardboard of a toilet roll that you sort of pretend as a trumpet? Well, she's been getting that, and like, Suleiman's always loved playing with that, but now, like, instead of like shouting in it, whatever, she'll either do the adhan in it, like almost like you're calling out in the adhan, or she'll read some Quran in it. And now I saw him today; he was just sitting there and he was doing it, just like reading like all these surahs that he knew, like Surah Al-Fatiha, Qul Huwallahu Ahad. Can't remember what other ones he knows, but just out of the blue, until he got distracted by something on TV, and then he sort of went to that. But then I was like, oh, look at all this stuff he's picking up, because she's been making it really fun for him, as opposed to, just sitting there, let's do a lesson sort of thing, and making it all formal. And because you've got to remember, kids will just, whatever's, the things that are fun for kids are things that you make fun. It doesn't matter what it is. He could have been sitting there and singing a song, but actually he's now memorized a surah without really putting too much effort into it. Yeah, it's what you make fun. So it could be anything. It could be something as simple. Yeah, it could be something as simple as like playing hide and seek, right? But instead of you counting or doing, ready or not, here I come, or where are you, you're just saying the adhan, bro. And that's something that they will now link to that game that they play, which is hide and seek or something like that. Do you understand? Wow. So it's like, I close my eyes, and instead of me counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I just do the adhan, and he's running around hiding, and then you go and find them. But then when it's his turn, he's going to do the same thing, because that's what he's going to remember. Loads of little things, actually. Loads of little things. I think, one could say, oh, but that's not what they were made for. But actually, the benefit is that's ingrained in their head now, and they've associated what you want to call, Islamic things, or things that they can memorize as memories between you and them, and something that they will never forget, bi'idhnillah, So yeah, definitely.
That's really interesting. I never thought about that, but it's such a valid point that I suppose the energy you put into something is so important, because if Quran time is like boring for them, but building blocks time is so fun because you're putting so much energy into building blocks, so you're not putting energy into Quran time. I mean, of course the Quran should be honored and you don't misbehave around it, but I'm sure you can put energy into it. Whereas I wonder if you were to reduce energy in other things, then that would make the other stuff fun, not just increasing energy in the other stuff. Do you know what I mean? That's quite a hypothesis. We should run some tests. One person should spend a week like same energy on like building blocks and playing games, but then increase energy for like Islamic stuff, and the other person should not change the energy for the Islamic stuff, but reduce energy for the fun stuff and see what the outcomes are. And then we should write a dissertation on it, 12,000 words, and see if a university will publish our study.
You ain't got the time, bro. Sorry, I'm going to let you down right now. But you got to sort of figure out what your child is like, I suppose, because I've seen some kids that they're chill, bro. They'll just sit down. They want to read something. They'll play with something quietly. There's different kids are in different ways. We're very aware that Suleiman does not sit still, and he doesn't really like to. Sometimes he might, if he's tired, especially, he might sit and read a book. But even if he's reading, he has to be really loud about it, or he has to be really energetic about it. He'll literally spend all day just back and forth, running around. So if you can try and incorporate something of benefit in there, otherwise he's just struggling, trying to get out of whatever you're doing, so he can go back to running around, or pretending he's Spider-Man or something like that. Like, that's just what he likes to do. So yeah, it's about trying to weave those beneficial lessons in there in a way that will sort of align with him, I guess.
I have a nice last question to end the podcast, or to end this show on. It's an interesting one. So the question is from Masuma. and he or she says, just curious, what do you guys want your kids to call you? For example, Baba, Abba, etc. I'll let you go first.
It's probably going to be Baba, but the problem is, I don't know if it's just a North African thing or an Arab thing, but like I call him Baba all the time. Like I don't get it. I don't know where it's come from. So he'll call me Baba, but I'll say Baba to him. And I've noticed that loads of people say it. Like loads of Arabs will say Baba to their kids. Do you know
Really?
what I mean? Yeah. I'll be like, what's wrong, Baba? And then he'll say Baba, blah, 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 blah. But then it's like, why is that a thing? Why have we done that to ourselves? But yeah, apparently it's. I remember coming across it like some sort of meme where it's actually a thing where, for some reason, Arabs will call their sons dad because that's what they're used to them calling them. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, what about you?
That's interesting. Well, I had this a bit of a. I was thinking about this when he was first born. I was thinking like, what would I want to be called, Dad? Uh, Abi, or what would I want to be called? And I refer to myself to him, and I get him to refer to me as Abu, because
Ooh.
in my culture, or anyway, me growing up, we would call our dad Abu.
Mm,
And Abu means dad in Punjabi and Urdu. In Arabic, I think it's more like Abi is like my dad, and Abu is more like you would refer, if you're referring to someone's kunya, like you'd say, oh, that's Abu Faisal, but not necessarily
mm,
Faisal would call his dad Abu, from what I know. However, in my culture, it is Abu, and a culture is very, very important in a lot of aspects. And so I want him to call me Abu because that's what I was raised calling my dad.
mm.
So Abu is what I get him to call me. I don't
Everyone's
like
different.
dad. I don't like daddy. I feel like daddy's very childish. Like I wouldn't want my son to grow up calling me daddy, even for a bit. So Abu is what even if he speaks English, I would still want him to say Abu in Abu language. But we are trying to teach. Maybe we'll go over the whole language stuff in another episode. But we are doing our very best to try and teach him Urdu. I am. Well,
Oh,
we
right.
are.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
inshallah, yeah, that'd be good.
No,
Yeah,
it's really
it's
difficult. I don't think it's working or it's going to work.
is it not at all? No, well, it's a bit.
Yeah.
He's a bit young, I think. He's a bit young, but
Well,
I
you, as
suppose
in, like,
you're
when
going
you
to be quite
communicate with them.
focused. Yeah, but I think you're going to be quite focused on trying to teach him elements of Arabic anyway, just for the Islamic benefit, I suppose. So you're going to be juggling three languages, and it might be quite difficult. I know, obviously, you're going to want to teach him Urdu, no doubt. But at the same time, you're going to have it in your head like, oh, I should probably try and teach him some Arabic because obviously the Quran, because
Well, my
that's
original
just the
plan
way.
was always to speak to him only in Arabic.
Oh, there you
So
go.
when he was born, I was like, it was Arabic. It was really funny because my Arabic, it was like sentences that, yeah, you could like get away with. But then you start, I very early. So I remember when we were expecting him, I spoke to my teacher and I said, do you think that by the time Zachary is born, I can be fluent, right? Like
Yeah.
to the point where I can teach him. And he said, definitely, if you focus, And I didn't get to that point, but I was at the point where I could speak, sentences that a child needs to hear,
Yeah.
And so I started speaking Arabic to Zachary only, and then very quickly it just started. It just started going down. I think it lasted maybe like the first 6 weeks or something of his birth,
Oh,
and then it became, because first of all you got to bear in mind that Fusha is like quite difficult to. It's like I don't have a dialect of Arabic because I'm not an Arab and I'm not grown up in Arabic language, and so it's not like I can go to a dialect. So what I started realizing is I started finding things hard that were like natural things to say. Like I remember like a real turning point was when I needed to say the word skirting, which sounds really weird, but the skirting in a house, like on the floor.
right.
How do you say, like, be careful of the skirting, don't slip on the
Yeah,
skirting,
yeah, yeah.
because how do you in Fusha, like, is that even? And so I started finding it really difficult, and so I completely now the Arabic language like just does not really happen in my house at all.
Mm,
And then I remember, but now I do want that to be something that early on I am teaching him, so I need to get my Arabic back on point,
mm.
because it was never like 100, but it started growing and then it took a real dip, and so now I'm trying to get that back on point. So before it's too late, I can start implementing that. So
There's
yeah,
a
and
lot
he
of
used to
resources.
watch Arabic.
Yeah,
I
that's
used to
what I was
have him
going to
watch
say.
Arabic stuff at the beginning and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he'll pick, he's still a bit young. I think, inshallah, in a year or two, bro. There's so many resources out there. There's so many shows like that are out there that you can even pay for, Akhi, and have him sort of develop a liking to them to the point where that's what he'll want to watch, and it'll be stuff that will educate him on Arabic, stuff that will just teach him even keywords or nouns or, you know, names of animals, whatever, just little things to pick up just to familiarize himself with the language before, you know, they sit down and do proper like lessons and stuff like that, which will be in the future, bi'idhnillah.
Yeah, man, bro. Listen, this has been one of my favorite episodes of Dad's Dunya. Despite the fact that at one point we were swarmed with a massive group of anti-Islamic spam people who disliked this video 46 times. It's really interesting because at first I thought it was because of the discussion we're having. Then we started going shooting up. So, guys, if you're a fan of Dad's Dunya, please, this episode specifically, give it a like, because we're currently, as I'm speaking, we're 46 dislikes, which is the most dislikes I think any episode of Fresh Uganda has ever had, against 40 likes because of the, or I'd like to think because of the massive swarm of people that, and it was such a short amount of time, for like 5 minutes. It distracted me completely. I don't have a poker face. I can't hide and so when it happened, I was like, what is happening right now? But yeah, because of that, please go the extra mile of liking, if you do like this kind of stuff. Oh, look, now we're 48 likes to 46, so alhamdulillah, it's working. And please hit subscribe to the Fresh Uganda channel. We are trying to get 100,000 subscribers by Ramadan. That's a challenge that we've set. If you don't know about that challenge and you do want to help us get to 100,000 subscribers by Ramadan, and for a chance to win some Apple AirPod Pro 2s, head over to fgtri.be. That's fgtri.be. Head over there. There's a video over there, and you can watch the video and understand how you can help us, and also be in with a chance to win AirPods as well as the Fresh Uganda game and so on and so forth. So thank you so much. And Mohammed, aka Akhi Tweet, Jazakallah khairan again. It's always a pleasure talking to you, and inshallah we'll do it again in around a week.
Inshallah. Assalamu alaikum, everybody.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.